Hey tappers, welcome to Tapping Tuesday. My name is Fable, and for the next hour, we are going to be engaging in EFT together, which stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, otherwise known as tapping. So if this is what you're looking for, you are in the right place. If it's your first time here, welcome. If it is not your first time here, welcome back. I'm so excited to be spending this time with you. Now, this is week 2 of 3 of a pre-recorded live session because I am out perusing the world. But I look very forward to being back with you live, not next week, but the week after that. So for this week, the way that we're going to engage is I have gone through emails and comments and conversations looking for just more common themes that maybe we didn't really touch on yet or that have just come up a lot anyway, and offering that to you to the best of my ability, even though right now we can't interact. Rest assured, I still am thinking about you and caring for you. And I hope that you continue to connect with each other through the chat, and I look forward to being back in person with you soon. Okay, now if this is your first time here, the way that these typically roll out is we have a live chat happening. You can put in suggestions there. As I said, I have a predetermined list for this time. But if you ever want to email me, if you have questions, if there's something specific that you would like to tap on, but you don't feel comfortable putting it out there in front of everybody, please feel free to email me and we can address it privately, or I can bring it up to the community anonymously so that you still have an opportunity to feel supported and seen and heard and related to, but still receiving that comfort of anonymity. Okay, and as we tap, I tend to stay in one spot. So instead of going through all the tap, especially while I have this microphone, because, bonking it is just disruptive. But tapping through all of the points isn't always a fit for everybody. Maybe it feels triggering to tap a certain spot. Maybe you wear glasses, and so the spot is just a difficult one for you to hit anyway. Or maybe you have a physical consideration where moving your arms that much is difficult. If you have one tapping spot that you're using, you're going to get the benefits that we're looking for in EFT. Also, I want to be as boring as possible, because the experience, the effect that you're having happens in your own body anyway. So I am here to guide you. I am here to support you if you feel like you've gotten lost or you're not feeling particularly inspired for this session. But if you feel intuitive to tap it through all of the spots or in a different spot than where I am, using different words than I'm using, please take it as permission for you to engage that, because that is your body saying, hey, I love what we're doing. This would be better. So please engage that as you feel comfortable and confident enough to do so. Alrighty. The first one that we'll start with today, let's start with, how do I choose? So this is more indecision, feeling maybe frozen about something, maybe because it's so big, or maybe it's just so vast. There were words of, how do I choose? How do I commit? How do I decide? A lot of times there just felt like there wasn't a lot of empowerment. There was maybe people pleasing of, it involved these other people, or this person's really putting a lot of pressure on me, or this is my boss. And so, it makes me vulnerable because it's my job on the line. And how do I feel confident then to make this decision, to put action to it, when I'm so terrified of choosing wrong and making it an outcome that I don't want, when there's no way to not project, what's the word I'm looking for? Predict. When there's no way to predict it. And this is tricky when that's the way that you're approaching it. So take a moment and think of something where you really wish that you could just see it some point in the future of, man, if I just knew even just one thing about this, then it would be so much easier for me to engage. Okay? As you consider that, let's start tapping. Oh, we didn't get grounded first. All right, keep tapping, and we're just going to ground while we tap. Thank you for whoever mentally shouted that out to me and helped me remember. Alrighty, let's go ahead and take a deep breath. And just notice, with the intention to ground, notice where all of your attention is right now. Notice your thoughts, your feelings, your energy. Is it scattered? Does it have a pattern, or is it just kind of like a crazy electronic blob that's just dancing everywhere? Is it deflated? Is it kind of like, well, I don't know if it exists right now. It's I kind of feel hollow and empty. I don't know where it is, but it's not here. Are you thinking about things in the past? Are you thinking about things in the future? How present are you in this moment right now? And we're just noticing. Let's take another breath. Okay, now I want you to notice where you're tapping, if it's at the same spot as me or not. Just notice, and if you can, even look at it and just become really aware. Become aware of the cadence. Are you tapping kind of fast? Are you tapping slow? Are you tapping kind of aggressive? Is there a lot of umph there? Or are you just barely tapping? Are you doing a touch and breathe method? In what way are you engaging your body right now? And as you notice that engagement, let's consider this engagement to be a homing beacon, a signal for all of your spirit energy, your body energy, your mental energy, to become aware of this moment in time, this space in time, and for it to be drawn to this action. To just gently, easily flow back to your body. And if that doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel safe, if there's some reason why that's not what you want to do, don't force it. Just allow it to then pay attention, whatever distance feels good and comfortable. And just have that line of communication open. Just allow that flow of connection to become full of moving energy, with all of your little bits of awareness that you are. Let's take one more breath. Alrighty, now let's get to getting into our tapping. As I consider this concern that I have about how do I possibly decide, I deeply and completely accept myself, even though right now I feel big feelings about how I have to choose. And I don't know how right now. I still choose to deeply and completely accept myself anyway. Even though right now it feels impossible for me to commit, I still choose to deeply and completely accept myself anyway. This choice committing to this choice, choosing my action, committing to forward movement. As I consider everything that I feel and think about this forward movement, I wonder, what do I perceive would be the absolute worst outcome? What is it that I am so afraid of? My fear. My fear of the outcome. The worst possible outcome of this choice. Maybe this outcome is really bad. And I 100% believe it's possible. Maybe this outcome isn't as intense as I thought it would have been now that I'm focusing on it. Whether or not the absolute worst outcome to this decision truly is my worst nightmare or not, I hold space to consider it. Even if I feel heaviness and fear and discomfort as I think about considering it, I allow those feelings to fade away for now, to just not be important. I can pick those back up later. They can alert me if I need it. But just for now, I give myself permission to consider my worst case scenario with curiosity, like a scientific curiosity. This choice, my absolute worst outcome of this choice, being curious about this fear, curious about my fear of this outcome. Okay. Well, what is it that I want to be curious about? Well, I wonder, how possible is it that I would start down the road to this outcome and not recognize that this is where it's going to end up? I mean, is it possible that I could somehow end up at this worst case scenario and be shocked, be really truly surprised about it, that there would be no signs, there would be no opportunities to adapt or shift? Yes. No. I don't know. As I consider the true possibilities of the reality of my worst outcome. I wonder, how much time and thought have I put into this? How many aspects, how many roads, like trap doors, have I imagined and considered, mistakes along the way, or problems that I'm worried that will pop up that I won't see, that will lead me to this worst case scenario? How much time have I spent on that? I wonder, what about my best case scenario? How much time have I spent on that? Is it equal? Have I spent equal amounts of time considering all of the aspects, all of the things that could go right, all of the support I could suddenly find, all of the ease and the flow that could be present? Have I considered that as much? Yes. No. I don't know. As I consider how much I've considered my worst case scenario versus my best case scenario, I wonder, why? Why would I spend time on either? Have I been taught a certain strategy or pathway? Is there someone who told me this is the way to approach it? Have I had experiences where I decided this is the way to approach it? Also, is there a part of me that feels more brave, more smart, more able somehow when I consider about fighting what I'm up against, versus when I think about the possibilities of the good? Does it maybe feel vulnerable to consider what I want? Do I have pushback of negative thoughts that make me worry if it's delusional to consider a positive outcome? Is there a part of me that says, that's how you miss it, that's how you miss the details, that's how you get caught up in a trap? As I consider what my beliefs are surrounding all of my considerations of how I choose to move forward, I deeply and completely accept myself. It probably makes a lot of sense for me to consider things the way that I do. I'm sure that it's a combination of things that has allowed me to process information the way that I do today. I wonder, is it helping me now when I need it the most as I'm considering, weighing my options, and needing to take action? Is it helping me? Or is there a different way for me to apply the tools that I have? A different way. A different way to apply the tools that I already have. Okay? Well, what would that look like? What could that be? What does that even mean? Maybe what it means is when I think about and consider all of the different possibilities, I can recognize that's a tool. It's a tool of detail. It's a tool of maybe pattern recognition. It's a tool of critical thinking. Yeah, okay, sure. But how does that help me change it now? How does that assist me in a different perspective? Well, I suppose, since I know I'm facing a decision and I can't predict the future, and the future has infinite amount of options, what if I just narrowed it down a little bit? Kind of created general categories of worst, best, and kind of middle of the road. Okay. What would that do? Why would I do that? Maybe if I gave myself some parameters to consider and I allowed myself to apply my abilities of critical thinking and creative application, of probable patterns of how things will go, it would allow me choice. Because isn't it true that right now I'm trying to make a choice out of confusion? And that is really hard. And that is really scary. No wonder I'm feeling this way. But if I give myself some concrete options, even if I don't follow it perfectly, even if I adapt and I change my mind as I go, I'm going. I'm moving. Maybe it doesn't help me see all the way to the end, but maybe it helps me choose the next step. And from that step, maybe I can see the next. My choices, my strategies, my tool set, my ability. Okay, let's say I do it. Let's just say I give it a try. Will that really help me get to where I want to go? Yes. No. I don't know. Even though with this strategy, I still can't promise myself I'm going to make it where I want to. Can I give myself permission to feel safe enough, to feel good enough that I now have a way to engage? I now have a way to begin. And I have succeeded in the past, and I've not succeeded in the past. But isn't it true that either way, engagement was necessary? And by allowing myself to try, to begin, and supporting myself with my clarity that I've given myself with the tools that I have, isn't it true I already have a really good chance of being able to adapt and adjust, which gives me a really good chance at going where I hope to go. This choice, this decision, my tool set, my clarity, trusting my movement, trusting in my abilities to continue to build as I go. And as I allow myself this space to try, I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay, pause on tapping, take a breath. Nicely done. Now take just a moment and think about, sorry, I'm sitting on my pant leg. Think about how you felt before we started tapping on it and this decision that you have to make and how you feel about it now. And if you feel lighter, brighter, more capable, more engaged, more ready, more grounded, if you were yawning, sighing, crying, if you feel more energized, if you feel more relaxed, all of those are signs that your subconscious brain connected with something that you said and said, oh, yes, I like that pathway. Let's start supporting that. And it will allow it to become easier for that to build and become more of a habit. So good job. Alrighty, let's move on. Okay. So this one I would say hasn't been as brought up as much, but it's really intrigued me. So I hope I made a good choice to tap on it with you. It is it okay to give up? Like, is it okay to stop trying on something? And when is it okay for me to decide that? So some ways that you might consider this is in a relationship with someone where maybe you've become aware that it's kind of a toxic relationship. It could be a romantic relationship, it could be a friendship, even something that, is a family member that maybe you think, well, yeah, of course it's toxic, but they're my family. It's like I can't choose out of that. So I feel stuck there. It could be in a workplace, any place where you are interacting with someone and you've realized this isn't really healthy. What can I do about that? It could also be something personal. I've been trying for so long for this. I take this test and I fail. I apply and I don't get the job. I try to learn this and I'm still no good at it. I don't have energy to keep trying to surmount this. Surmount, is that the word I was looking for? I'm not sure it was. I don't have the energy to keep applying myself when there's no actual finish line. It's just perpetually out there. Is it okay for me to give up on that? And to touch on a very touchy subject, getting overwhelmed to the point of just numbing out across life in general and feeling like all of this is too hard, all of this is too much, and I don't see how that's going to resolve, and the heaviness and the weight that can bring. First of all, if you are feeling that heavy, I do hope that you have a support system, and if you don't, there are support lines, and I do encourage you to give it a try. You can always give a fake name. You can always hang up at any time, if you're worried about, well, I don't want to, if there's a stigma attached to that. Connection is usually worth the discomfort of effort that it takes to reach out for that. So there's my little spiel on that. But so go ahead and gather in your mind one of the things I brought up, or if there's something else that you had in your mind, please feel free to choose whichever subject you would like on, is it okay? Is it time? Is it ethical? Is it appropriate? Does it mean something bad about me if I give up? Okay. And I'm probably going to stay right here tapping on this one. As I consider this aspect that I'm thinking about and wonder, is it okay for me to give up on it? I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I may have a lot of feelings about even considering, even thinking this question that I know that I have of, is it okay? Is it okay to give up? I still choose right now to deeply and completely accept myself. Even though this is a really big and hard and overwhelming question to ask, and I don't yet have an answer for it, I still choose to deeply and completely accept myself anyway. This question that I'm asking, this question that I am finally voicing, this question that I genuinely want to know the answer to. Okay. Well, as I begin to consider this question, I may notice there's a lot of thoughts and feelings that make sense are surrounding this question. I give myself permission to kind of scoot those aside and let myself clarify this a little bit more. Make it more simple. Not so many different colors or shades of consideration, just maybe an outline. It's an outline of the question. I wonder, what makes it okay to give up on anything? When is it ever acceptable or appropriate to give up? As I consider where I currently believe it's acceptable and appropriate to give up, I deeply and completely accept myself. Maybe I feel like it's never appropriate. You don't ever give up. Giving up is quitting, and that's always bad. Maybe I feel like if it's something that's harmful, if it's something that is unlawful or dangerous, then that makes it okay. If it's creating a negative outcome, to try, then that's okay to quit. And maybe, I think there's probably an answer where it's okay to quit, but I don't know. I'm having a hard time coming up with it. Whether or not I have clarity on when it's okay to quit, I deeply and completely accept myself. And I continue to hold space for this curiosity. I wonder, what does quitting mean? What does giving up mean? Do I believe that it means I'm a loser? It means I'll never achieve anything. It means shame. It means embarrassment. It means inability. It means I'm incapable. It means I'm not lovable. It means I'm not enough. As I consider these and other thoughts that I may have that surround my current definition of what it means about me if I give up, I still choose to deeply and completely accept myself anyway. And I wonder, do I believe that that's healthy? Do I currently believe that this is a healthy aspect to guide my life? Do I currently believe that this is wise? I mean, what would it look like if people really lived by these standards? Like everybody. If everybody lived by these standards. Nobody ever gave up on anything. What if their desire changed? And now they're devoting all of this time and attention to something that doesn't even matter to them anymore. Or maybe now they're against, but you can't quit. Got to keep going. Is that right? Is that what I believe? What if they find something that is more meaningful, it's better, it's deeper, that offers them connection or care, happiness, but it would mean quitting something? I can't do it. Does that make sense? My definition of giving up. I wonder, is part of that definition a duration? Does giving up, quitting, stopping, is it all encompassing? Does it mean that if I'm taking a cooking class and I quit the cooking class, I may never ever cook again? I'm not allowed. Is that what that means? I wonder if I try something and I quit because I don't have the time, I don't have the place, does it mean I've lost my ability to try again? That it's too embarrassing, it's too shameful, and how dare I? Because now I have offended all of that subject matter to the point of it would never be ethical for me to re-engage. Is that true? And do I believe that giving up and quitting is dishonorable? Always, no matter what. Or is there ever a time where maybe it's the wise thing to do? Or part of it is the wise thing to do? Because why do people quit in the first place? Why do they give up? Maybe sometimes it's because it's no longer important. But maybe also because it's gotten to be too much. It's overwhelming. There's not enough support. Okay. But what if that truly quitting, truly giving up just isn't an option? It's not really what I want, or it would produce a result that I really don't want. What then? How do I make sense of that? How do I create a space that protects me and allows for parts to continue, for things to continue? As I consider how I might determine my lines and boundaries, this outline of giving up ethically, giving up wisely, giving up kindly, I deeply and completely accept myself, and I wonder, well, maybe I quit certain parts of things. Like if it's with a person and I start to have a feeling, and it's a feeling of irritation, or I just know they're trying to negatively engage me. Maybe I tell myself, nope, I quit. I quit reacting. I give up on that. It's not working out real well for me. Uh, just not going to do it. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, well, does reacting? It's understandable, but what if quitting reacting made just as much sense and had a better outcome? Could I allow myself to try something that may sound a little out there right now, that may sound different, silly, may not completely make sense? Okay, if it has the chance of a more positive outcome, I give myself permission to try this ethical, kind way of giving up, of quitting. What else could that look like? Well, maybe if I'm overwhelmed by my everyday life tasks, I look around me and I intentionally look for things that I can quit. And I point to my laundry and I say, I quit. And I point to my dirty dishes and I say, I quit. And even though I know at some point I'm going to have to do laundry, I'm going to have to do dishes, I give myself permission to relieve the burden for now. To give up on what I can give up. To preserve what I really don't want to. Choosing. Choosing what to give up. Allowing what to preserve. Okay, but is it really going to help? Yes. No. I don't know. Well, how can I find out? How can I find out if this is going to help? Maybe I choose one thing, one aspect, even if it's only inside of my own head and I don't tell anybody else. I don't make it obvious to anyone but myself. And if I give it a try, and I do feel relief, and I do feel a release, I give myself permission to acknowledge that. And I give myself permission to explore ethical quitting, to explore kind giving up. Because isn't that maybe another way of just saying, I'm choosing, I'm selecting, I'm preserving. Maybe it's setting a boundary. My definition for giving up. My reasons for giving up. My ability to choose how and what and for how long I give up. And as I give myself permission to be curious, can try it out and acknowledge any and all success with this new concept. I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay, pause on tapping and take a deep breath. Take just a moment and think about how you felt before we tapped about giving up and how you feel about it now. And notice if it feels better, if it feels lighter, if it feels more empowering, if you feel more curious about it, if it just feels different, if your body feels lighter, brighter, more space, tingly, excited, sleepy. Those are all positive signs that you have shifted a template in your subconscious brain that it said, you're right, this is a different way. I think I like this way better. And it will continue to build on that as you apply your new thoughts. And that is how things become easier and stronger. So congratulations. Alrighty. All right, we've got a few minutes left. So, alrighty, let's do, this kind of ties in, wanting clarity. Let me think of how I can give this to you in a slightly different aspect than what we've already tapped on today. The ways where I saw this kind of popping up in the community is, how do I go to engage clarity? Not so much like permission to have clarity or receiving clarity, so much as how do I proactively go get clarity? Okay, so with that, go ahead and consider any place in your life that you feel a little bit confused. It's a little bit fuzzy. Maybe it's, what's my next step with this? Maybe it's in a communication with someone. What did they mean by that? Maybe it's, I have this choice and I have these criteria, but I still don't know what to do. Yeah. Hopefully that's enough choices to give you an inspiration for it. But go ahead and select something of, okay, well, how do I proactively get clarity on this without it kind of happening to me? How do I approach this with clarity involved? Okay. I hope I'm being clear enough. Alrighty. As I consider how I can effectively have the tool of proactive clarity, I deeply and completely accept myself. As I consider this aspect in my life and how it'd be really nice to know how to apply clarity to it, but I don't know how yet, I still choose to deeply and completely accept myself anyway. Even though I really would like to know how to proactively receive clarity, but I don't. I choose right now to deeply and completely accept myself anyway. Clarity. Understanding clarity. Governing clarity. Having clarity as an action word. I've seen it. I see it in movies, in shows. Maybe I've seen it in some powerful people. Oh, they make choices with such confidence, with such energy. How do they do it? How do they know? As I ponder how anyone has such clarity in their lives, I hold space to discover perspectives on that. What features might I feel are attached to having such clarity, having such ability? Maybe intelligence, just the ability to know a lot, therefore easier to choose. Maybe confidence, feeling really sure of oneself, and that making it easier to have clarity. Maybe being really grounded and connected and having that intuitive vibe and just, like trusting your gut, that could really be helpful with clarity. As I consider all of the supports that I believe could contribute to ease of clarity, I deeply and completely accept myself. And I wonder, well, what's keeping me from having those? What's keeping me from confidence? What's keeping me from vast knowledge? What's keeping me from trusting my intuition? Is it clarity? Oh no. Is it a loop? How do I have one without the other? As I consider this puzzle of how to have all of these things without already having all of these things, I deeply and completely accept myself. And I give myself permission to consider, what if clarity means truth? What if clarity means being just radically honest with myself and really knowing and understanding what I truly, truly want? And how that may be different than what I want to want, and maybe different still from what others want me to want. That would make sense. That would make sense to help with clarity. And what if clarity was also allowing myself to be priority? Allowing my own opinion, my own thoughts, my own feelings, my own desires to be as important or important first. Could that help me have clarity? Ooh, that might be difficult. But even if that is difficult for me to picture in action, maybe I can still understand how that could help with clarity. Okay, so far, being honest with myself, prioritizing myself, those sound like kind of stereotypical self-help things. What does that all tie into? Self-consideration, self-love, but also, what if it's just self-knowing? I mean, isn't it true that clarity, if I were to just broadly approach it, I know we're right at time. This is just another maybe 2-3 minutes. Maybe clarity is like knowing what my favorite dessert is. How would I know that? Well, maybe it's because I have knowledge. I've tried a bunch of desserts. Maybe it's because I'm honest with myself. I acknowledge that I prefer vanilla over chocolate or fruit flavors over vanilla or chocolate. Maybe I prioritize what my favorite is and I'm honest with that, even if someone else prefers chocolate. And I don't let either decision sway how it feels about my own preference and my own mind. Wouldn't that be clarifying? Okay. But how do I apply that outside of desserts? As I consider how I might apply having clarity, I deeply and completely accept myself. Maybe it starts with conversations. And maybe from those conversations, I allow myself to try, just like I would try different desserts. Maybe by that, I gain knowledge and I have an understanding of my preference from that. And maybe with gaining that, it allows me that clarity. Oh, but having that clarity means that now I have to make all these choices and I have to stand up for myself all the time. Well, maybe that's ideal. That's a lot of pressure to put on this. So maybe I allow myself to let this skill set build. And maybe I keep it private. Maybe I don't tell anybody else. And maybe I just allow it to be enough that I know. And as it feels stronger and more solid, that confidence can build. And maybe then I share it. Clarity. Proactive clarity. Understanding. Receiving my own sense of clarity. And as I do this, I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay, go ahead and pause and take a deep breath. Okay, thank you for staying a few minutes over with me. I hope that you've had a wonderful week, and I hope that this tapping has assisted you in taking a bit of a breather and feeling better. I'm thinking about you. I love you so much. And one more recording, and then I will be back with you live. Take care, and I'll see you soon.